It's really a scary side of the room right there.
A lot of power right
Oh
here.
my goodness.
You're a brave man. Or something.
I don't know that that's the adjective I would use.
I was trying to be nice.
All right, 6 o'clock. All right. Are we ready? We're good? All right. Well, we'll call the meeting of the Finance Committee of Stephenson County to order, circa Monday, March 18th, 2024. And I would entertain someone to pray for the meeting.
I can do that.
Yeah. All right.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this group you've gathered here today. We ask that you would help us to use the wisdom that you've given us to guide the direction of our county and give everybody a safe trip home. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Frick. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Complains, Mr. Joger seconds. Any discussion?
What?
Mr. Copeland?
Mr. Complaint. I just said complaint.
How do you say that? Complain.
Complain. Sorry, Kurt. Mr. Kurt, I've had a long day today, so bear with me tonight, please.
Okay.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Review and approval of meeting minutes for February 12th, 2024. I have a motion to approve those.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Baker. Or is it Backer? Backer? Just kidding. Motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Copeland. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment? See no one from the public
About the
here.
claims.
Oh, did I skip? Oh, approval of claim. I'm sorry. I was so excited we didn't have anybody from the.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
No, we have cash requirements of $453,141.27. Manuals of $482,061.23 for a total of $935,202.50. I would entertain a motion to approve these expenditures for this month.
So moved.
So moved. And Baker, Mr. Joger seconds. Any discussion on those? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And thank you for being patient with me. Public comment, seeing none, we'll move on to committee reports of committee. Carrie, you have the floor. Down.
Thank you.
There. This is essentially what you set for members the other day, correct?
No, it's different.
No? Is it different?
So, really quick, I sent to you all lovely reading material to help you fall asleep at night. The commercial insurance market outlook for 2024 for both property casualty and employee benefits. If you can skim through these, there's a lot of information here. It's easily skimmable. You can pick up information, and I will get to that. The reason I sent it is just to kind of set the stage for 2024. The insurance marketplace will be bumpy in 2024. I'll talk about that in the materials that I just handed out. So flipping to the third page of the package you have there, all of my presentations, we talk about every single time the 3 C's. Culture, compliance, communication impacts cost. Now more than ever, if we can make sure that we keep the internal pressures as low as possible by affecting and keeping a good safety culture, keeping good employee engagement and education, sticking with compliance, Department of Labor laws, things of that nature, will help keep your insurance costs lower. So again, those internal pressures, keeping them at a minimum. I'll get into some claims information in the further pages, will help because the insurance marketplace, you see those downward arrows, is making your insurance premiums going to go higher. So I'll talk about that in a minute. So this is just a visual that it will be a recurring theme this entire year when we talk about it.
So you're gonna get into that as far as how we're doing as a county?
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Next page, it's property casualty work comp market outlook. This graph here, this table, is basically a summary of the 47-page document I sent you guys. All of the lines of coverage, the pressures are for premiums to go up. We saw increased premiums last year for various reasons. We'll see it again in 2024. I'll talk about the timing later. Commercial property, cat-free means non-cat, like non-coastal areas. The pressures are upwards of 5 to 15%. I'm seeing with my clients, not necessarily the county, but overall my book of business, property insurance rates are going up 15 to 30 to 40%. General liability, it's pretty flat. I'm seeing about 5%. Auto is around 10%. Believe it or not, and I've said this in the past, the last several years, workers' compensation premiums are the only shining star in the insurance marketplace today across all business types. It's uncanny. It's great. We'll take it. You know, for years and years and years, work comp costs were always the highest and worst. Cyber is also a really tough marketplace. You see on the news or you hear on the news almost every week, cyber attacks. Excuse me. That is a big, big risk. Directors and officers, pretty flat, and employment practices is between 5 and 10% of what I see. Okay. This is not to share you by any means. We have a lot of really good safety protocols and controls in place. I'll get to that in a minute. But just so you know, again, keeping the internal pressures as low as we can while we can weather the storm of these external pressures of the marketplace. The next page is the last 3-4 years of property casualty and work comp claims by department. We've had some, this is looking good. This is trending well. I'd say if you go back 5 to 8 years, there were much, much higher claims. So the claims are going down, which is really good. In total, for that first set of numbers, there's a total of 28 claims across 2021 until today or this week in the property casualty. And those are anything from auto accidents to lawsuits to, if you have specific claims questions, I can talk about it, but this is just a high level view of what claims are looking like for the last 3 years. Down below that second set of data is the work comp claims summary. That also is trending in a good direction, much, much lower than years past. Again, there's been 41 work comp claims over the past 3 years. If you want to know more about what claims there are, I can certainly talk about them. But again, that's just a high level view of where we at for the last 3 years until last week when I ran the numbers. Any questions on that? Nope. Next page, how do we impact costs? Again, this is a reoccurring theme that we'll talk about. Really good loss control visits by our loss control reps from ICRMT. Last month, Mark Bell went on an on-site safety walkthrough with the maintenance director and the nursing home interim administrator. Talked about a lot of really great things. The safety committee is going to be restarted, which I think is a great thing. That's a monthly meeting of the safety committee at the nursing home. So many follow-ups on that, and I see that going in the right direction. The department heads are also going to get access to NeoGov, and that is a really, really good resource that ICRT gives for all things safety learning related that the department heads can have access to. And we're going to make sure we keep following up on that to make sure they do utilize that system because it's pretty important to use. Again, really good success stories with leadership engagement. The sheriff's department, the health department, highway do a lot of really good things. They're engaged. We're getting the nursing center more engaged. I have good feelings about that. So we just continue these safety meetings and loss control meetings. Any questions on that? Switching over to the benefits side of things, as you all know, we did change plan offerings last year. We got rid of the zero deductible plan, among other things, added additional increased deductibles for the employees to choose from. We also changed the plan renewal date to January 1st. That matches the deductible reset date of January 1st. It makes things a lot cleaner and easier for employees to manage. We had very, very successful, the most well-attended open enrollment meetings we've ever had back last November. Over 100 employees attended. We were here on site 2 full days, 2 all days. They were great, very great days. Lots of great questions, lots of employee engagement. So like I said, almost more than half of the employees, I think there was, like I said, 100 or so attended all of the meetings. And we met personally with individual one-on-one questions with over 50 employees. And that doesn't include the phone calls and emails we received too. So it was very successful in my opinion, because the more you have attending, the more people get their questions answered, the more engaged they are with their benefits. So we're really happy about that.
From a department head standpoint, any thoughts on any of that? How it's gone so far?
Honestly gotten nothing but positive feedback so far on the new plans. I think a lot of that is, in due to the engagement during the process. They kind of knew what was coming. They may not have, right away, they weren't really happy about what they heard, but they understood it. It's gone well. We've heard good feedback on the HSAs. They're happy about the wellness screenings coming up. It seems like they're very, very much more engaged in positive feedback. So, or at least on my end.
I will say the biggest question I got from all of these meetings was, well, I want the best plan, which
Okay.
I was happy to explain. Well, that depends. Tell me about your personal situation. And I said that out loud in the group meetings, and that really, really resonated. I could see the light bulb. Oh, I kind of get it now. Hey, I can leverage this. A higher deductible and a lower premium means this. Oh, an HSA means this. Or I probably should stay here. And I could just see the wheels turning instead of blank stares, which was great. We usually see blank stares. So again, as the insurance person, I was very happy about that. We implemented, as we did last year, the same with this year, the online open enrollment system, which was extremely successful. We helped everybody enrolled via online, which is a great thing. They can see all the plans side by side to compare what it looks like on their paycheck. So that was great too. And then we are having monthly employee communications. Everyone gets an email from us every month showing just about a healthy infographic, how to eat better, how to exercise better, how, just some tips and tricks. And we also focus on using that technology, that phone they have in their hands. We did demonstrate how to download the Blue Cross Blue Shield app, how to download the GoodRx app, how to research providers, how to, comparison shop. So I think overall that will go a long way in helping our costs. Any questions on that? That next page, just to reiterate where we've been and to where we are now. Again, back in 2020, we had 2 plans. You can see by far, 99% of employees were on a zero deductible plan. And if you recall the journey we've had in the last 4 years, we've watched the premium go up, up, up. So now we've migrated to the bottom 4 plans, and you can see the employee splits on who signed up for what for this 2024 year. That right there is a huge success, huge success. Think about what your premiums are going to do when you have 190 people in a zero deductible plan versus getting them onto a deductible plan. So you as a finance committee should be very proud this is the start of a journey that will turn the ship around, so to speak. Okay, that next page is sort of an eye chart. I apologize for that, but if you recall, when we were going through the decision-making process last summer, fall on picking plans, I put together this spreadsheet kind of splitting out what our recommendation was. If you recall, there were 6 plans previously and we went down to 4. What this spreadsheet is trying to do is predict people moving from the zero deductible and lower deductible into the higher deductible and kind of where the premiums are gonna hit. So in the middle there, you're gonna see a total. Right now, you know, your enrollment fluctuates. You currently have you have 193 employees on the plan. So in that column down there at the total, it says last year's splits 4.272 million. If you did not move to these higher deductible plans, your premium would have renewed at about 4.3 million a year. Okay. Now that we're in these 4 current plans, the splits, putting in where it lined up, where people signed up for what plan went where, I'm estimating that your premium will only be about 3.9 million. So it was cost avoidance here, okay? That's a really, really good thing. So if you recall back in 2020, we went away from the state plan to Blue Cross Blue Shield. They grossly underestimated how much it would cost. We did take $2 million in savings. They came in with a huge increase last year, if you recall. That's why we had to take the changes and make these changes in these higher deductibles and get away from the zero deductible, okay? So we're essentially flat instead of taking a huge increase. And this is a journey. We're gonna keep going down this road and hopefully get it to where it's savings every year. Again, getting employee engagement, getting them into better healthcare consumerism, you know, just what I've been talking about. Also, the HSA contribution, you can see the splits there. The county's kicking in about I'm estimating about 165,000, give or take, depends on the splits, who's on the plan, who's off the plan. So the bottom line there is based on what the renewal would have been if we offered the same plans as we always did versus what this committee decided to do, we're about 5% under what it would have been. So that's a good success story. And we're gonna hopefully continue that trend down as we go down this journey. Does that make sense to everybody? But the next page, probably should have started with that page. That's just a summary of from 2021 till now, what the premiums were versus claims paid, the loss ratios, and then the average membership is employees plus dependents. So there's been well over 400 humans on the plan. That's employees, spouses, children. Okay. So again, back in 2020, previous to 2020, your premiums were $4 million a year. We've got Blue Cross in at about 3 million. So we took a million savings and another million in savings, and then it spiked up again because Blue Cross realized the claims. So now we're trying to trend that down. And again, going back to what I said, keeping your internal pressures as low as you can to ward off those external marketplace pressures is exactly what we're trying to do. Make sense? Okay. Last page, again, ongoing activities. We have monthly email campaigns to our employees. We field probably 2-3 phone calls a week on claims issues or questions. You know, we're happy to come to any department head meeting to talk about anything. We do encourage the Blue Cross Blue Shield app. We do encourage the virtual visits. That's a huge savings. We are going to do screenings, doing wellness programming, just to try to keep that road from turning the other way. Finally, the very last page. These are down the road. Before you know it, it'll be summertime and we'll be talking about the renewal. So the top portion is your property casualty renewal. It renews on December 1st. And it usually is a 4 or 5 month process. Gathering the data takes a lot of work. There's 99 automobiles, there's 30-something buildings, there's 200 plus employees, there's a lot of assets that we insure. So we take the month, generally speaking, don't hold firm on these dates, but generally speaking, we start the process in August and it ends in November for the property casualty. It's a long journey. And then benefits is a little bit shorter time frame. The benefits renew January 1st. We start that in mid-September. It's a quicker turnaround. It's not as much data to collect. And then we end that again with the county board approval.
Yeah,
That's all I have.
I think it would make sense to try and have this wrapped up by November, since it is an election year. So you wouldn't put that burden on a reorganized
Sure.
board in December.
Again, we can accelerate this. This is just a guide. If we, the board, feel like we need to accelerate this, we certainly can.
Now, I talked to Carrie a little bit about last year, for those of you that may recall, I was pressed by a couple members of the board to go out for a full RFP for insurance services this year, and I said I would consider that. I've talked to our state's attorney, and he's of the opinion that means that this is a professional service. We don't, and the fact that Diamond Brothers went to multiple carriers, 20 some last year, Jerry?
Correct. Both for the property casualty and the benefits, we went to over 20 carriers each. Again, I shared that result when we were going through this quoting process, if you recall. Happy to share that again if you want to go through it. So to answer your question, yes.
Now, some of those might be different with another broker, but there are a lot of similar carriers that would be involved. And much like, I'll put this in the context of my work, when I go in and quote a project for a company, if I'm the first one in there, I get the best pricing from the manufacturers that they're looking to use on a given piece of machinery. And if some other distributor comes in there and says, hey, I want pricing too, they're gonna go, no, Tim was in there first, he's the one who brought us the project, so on and so forth. So I wanna be aware of that. I wanna be aware of the fact that Diamond Brothers has done a good job for the county. I believe everything from a feedback standpoint that I get seems to support that. So from a committee standpoint, well, let me ask this. What would be the additional work needed if we went to a full RFP and invited 6,000 different brokers to do this? Georgia, I think that would be actually on you, wouldn't it? To collect all that data and send that out? And that'd be a whole load of work for you, wouldn't it?
Well,
Have we done that in the past?
did that the last time we worked with Mr. Odendahl, who was the broker for the
Okay.
county, to draft the RFP and go out. And there was conversations on, do we do the third-party administrators first, or do we do the plans first? And that all went through finance, but the broker is
Who actually did it? So they went to other brokers?
well, it was the third-party administrator for the health benefits.
First thing you need to decide, if I may,
Yeah,
is whether
please.
you want to go to a self-funded plan, or if you want to continue with what's the term I'm missing here? Like where we are now,
Fully insured.
right?
Well,
No, that's what we did 4 years ago.
as your broker, I solicited quotes on the benefit side from self-funded insurers, level funded insurers, and fully insured. So fully insured is where you're at with Blue Cross Blue Shield, meaning you know exactly what your premium's gonna be. Your premium's gonna be around $3.8 million this year, regardless of what your claims are. So if you go back to that one page, the last several years, your premiums are $3 million, your claims are $4-5 million. You know exactly what you're gonna pay. You know what that check's gonna be every month. Self-insured, you're taking that risk on yourself, saying, okay, we think our premium or our claims are gonna be X, and we'll have a secondary insurance market handle catastrophic claims, but we're on the hook for anything, for the claims, period. You self-insure. There's a middle of the road called level funded where you insure up to a certain amount and you know there's a cap. You work out with the insurance company what they're taking and what you're taking, and then you take the difference. So it's in the middle. Again, if you recall, you probably don't recall because you guys fall asleep when I talk to you, but just kidding.
Well, you
Level
gave us
fund,
that
yes.
analysis last year. I
Yes,
remember
if
that.
you recall that, right?
Mhm.
So I went out to market to self-insured plans, level funded and fully insured, all of them, and solicited quotes. We got quotes back for only fully insured plans. The one level funded was way higher than what you're paying. The self-insured was off the table for everybody. Everyone's like, no way, we won't touch this. So I did go out. So you don't have to check your plan. You don't have to set your plan. It's kind of the opposite. You solicit quotes to see where you're at and then you pick. And that's what we did. Same on the property casualty side. Went out to all the markets. You can self-insure on the property casualty sides too. You can increase your deductibles. You can say, hey, I'm insured up to $1 million no matter what happens. Or you can set, again, you know what your premiums are gonna be regardless of your claims, or you can use some self-insurance. We ran the gamut and asked for all of it.
The advantage and disadvantage that we have now, when we did it before, it took us about 2 years, but we couldn't get a hold of our claims history. So that was problematic.
Yeah.
Now we have it. Probably wish we didn't have it.
Right.
So you can still go out for the RFP. It should be simpler this time than it was 4 years ago.
Mhm.
I mean, it was a process, but
I will say if I may, the RFP process is harder on your administrator.
Right.
It's a lot to manage versus having one person manage it.
Well, and I'm trying to, I think the folks that were pushing for that last year seem to think that there's some sort of savings that might be accrued from that, but at what cost? Even if we did. So, does anybody have any thoughts on that or comments around going on a full RFP or doing it the way we did it last year, where she goes out to our current broker that we seem to be pretty happy with, went out in a process to solicit, 25 companies to take care of our insurance needs. I mean, I'm looking for input here, guys. I'm not
I have
trying
a
to
question
dictate
or
a
comment too.
situation.
Go ahead.
Well, why fix something that's not broke? I mean, she's doing a good job. Diamond Brothers is doing a good job. Go out to get the quotes. State's attorney said that was fine. I mean, I think they're doing a good job and I don't see a reason to go out for RFPs.
And I guess my comment would be is if we go out for RFP, what does that do? Does that change all of these plans again for our employees, or can we keep that within those same parameters?
You can keep that. So to Tim's point earlier, the early bird gets the worm in this process. So the first broker into a carrier with all of the subjectivities reserves that carrier or that market. Will there be one or two off market that Diamond Brothers doesn't have? Probably. We're pretty big though. We are number 7 in the country when you talk about Diamond Brothers as a whole and part of the consortium of agencies that we are part of. We're part of Broad Street Partners. We're number 7 in the country. Again, I'm not saying that there isn't 1 or 2 other markets out there for the effort. Again, my opinion doesn't matter here, but at the same time, you're not gonna light the world on fire.
I would like to see it stay the way it is.
Mr. Bush?
Me too. I mean, I thought that last year when he brought it up.
Right, I just making sure I get everybody's opinion. Okay, all right.
I just think it's finally stabilized. We're going in
That's
the right
the way
direction.
I felt pretty good about what we had.
The health insurance in the right direction. I was like, man, don't mess with that.
All right,
That's not to say there's not more work to do. We certainly
Yeah.
need to turn that around. I'd like to see your premiums get under $3 million a year,
But
2 million.
we're getting there.
We're getting there. It's a long journey. It is not an overnight thing.
I had a feeling that's the feedback we were gonna get, and I'm glad you hear that.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. All right, anything else?
I have nothing.
Okay, moving on, county administrator.
I got a question.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Mr. Copeland.
The liability is included in this? No. I'm not seeing the liability numbers.
That's a good question.
You know what? I'm sorry. I did not put those in there. You want to see the totals?
Yes.
I can
Next meeting's fine. or
look it up
whatever.
and tell you, like, if you
If
want to keep
email
going.
a follow-up to the committee, that'd be
Okay.
great.
Yep.
And then,
Sorry about that. I didn't even think of that.
that reminds me, we had a discussion, I'm gonna invite our current liability carrier. What is that gentleman's name, Karen? We had talked about him from, is it?
Mark Bell?
Yeah, to come and just talk about, there was a genuine concern last year about the nursing home liability, and I just wanna vet that out and try and understand what considerations we need to have around that going into this year.
Well, it depends on the specific questions you're referring to. So if it's a marketplace question, that would be to me. If it's a safety, loss control related detail question, it would be to him.
Okay,
He's not gonna be able to tell you, yeah, we can get you
well, I'm just
insurance next
concerned
year.
about renewal, period. Are they
Last
gonna
year,
renew us?
correct. Last year, when we solicited and got the renewal, the underwriter said, hey, to simplify the conversation, yep, we'll renew it this year. Next year, we're not sure. We're gonna see how it goes. That is a general marketplace feeling. Nursing homes in general, not only Stephenson County, across the United States, are tough to insure. Given that marketplace, the pressures, the lawsuits, ICRMT, who's your carrier, we'll see if we get a renewal for the nursing home from ICRMT. If we do, great. If we don't, there are a lot of other carriers that I will solicit to carve out the nursing home to get coverage. I'm very confident we'll get coverage. Will it be at the price
But
that
at
we
what
have now?
cost? Yeah,
Probably not.
right. Okay.
So it is a long journey, but you also do take it 12 months at a time. The marketplace, again, the pressures that are going on now, I don't see them going away anytime soon.
And
So
we do have a safety committee out there now. We have some things that seem like they're improving.
a lot of things I will say are improving out there. Seems to be more stable.
Mhm.
There is more buy-in. In talking with Mark, he was pleased that the safety walking went on and the willingness to implement the safety recommendations that he has tried to get them to implement for the last 3 years.
And that's with our current administrator?
Absolutely it is.
Yes.
That can't be lost in
Yeah.
any of this.
Yeah.
The past two administrators said they were doing safety committee meetings. They were not.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
to
Any
answer
other-
your question, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. I just wanted to, I guess, leave that open if he wanted to attend or if any of the committee members wanted to hear from him.
Yeah, he's a great resource. I highly recommend you talk to him.
Any other questions? Okay, I apologize. I should have asked that. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Then county administrator, you have the floor.
All right, updates from when I presented Wednesday. This morning, Chairman Helms and I met with the city for our monthly meeting. Talked about a lot of different things, but the main takeaways were they have the vote tonight on the 1% tax increase for the city. Mr. Bush, I did ask about the Ring doorbell program. Mr. Boyer said that kind of the feedback is mixed on what the ones that have been dispersed. He said that there's been some people saying that they think it deters it, but they haven't really linked it to crime, solving crimes. Yeah, so kind of a mixed feedback on what's been dispersed. Let's see, Greater Freeport Partnership, I was part of their strategic planning sessions on the 28th of February. That was with Mr. Dragney of Next Level as well. So some good conversation came out of that. A few events. Some of us attended the annual dinner on the 22nd. They also had a ribbon cutting at the taco place down here on the corner, and a Rise and Shine breakfast out at 73 Brew and Chew, which is currently for sale. Kind of a shout out to the county clerk and recorder and EMA office. They held a kind of joint department head meeting on election safety and protocols and just different things that sheriff, city police, number of the department heads within the county, IT, just kind of went over a lot of things and ensuring that trainings are taking place and looking forward for that. It was good to be a part of that. Later on the agenda, we will have the agreement for the Regional Office of Ed. Chairman Helms and I did go to a joint meeting with the other two counties that are in the intergovernmental agreement with Stephenson that the ROE held. They took us on a tour of the facility and showed us some of the programming and things that they're doing at the facility in downtown. Also worked on another thing you'll see later in the agenda from Republic. They are the company that bought out mooring disposal. So
Wondering how they got in the picture.
all of our individual departmental shredding contracts for them to come pick up our little shred bins on call. We had to align the new contracts with 60-day net terms because our office has been getting numerous phone calls a month because when they took over, they went to their 20-day billing. And so without those, our office will continue to get all the phone calls for all the departments in the county. So that'll be for you later. Michael Bergs was hosted, Chairman Helms hosted him in the office on March 1st. It was nice to have a state representation here within the county. And I know Ms. Helms was able to talk to him about a program that she's thinking about. Got some positive feedback on the county board headshots and got another one added or in the process of being added. So if you haven't looked at that, take a look at the website. I was part of a deposition hearing with the Director of Building and Zoning. Went pretty well, but it took, I think we were here for about 3 hours doing that. Last week, the public opening for the RFP for the UTV took place in my office, and Mr. Townsend had his recommendation to the committee, which will be going to the board for the quote on the UTV. Mr. Remmers on the 12th last week, he and I went to the Kent Monument and several of the landings that the county owns. He put together a draft plan of what projects need to be done, what he would like to get done. He emailed me that on Thursday, on Friday, I'm sorry, and I have not looked at it real thoroughly yet, but he's got a plan in place that I will be sending to Chairman Helmsman Planning and Development Committee. So, Planning and Development?
Yes.
Department head meeting, we had the auditors on site about a week and a half ago, wrapping up their requests. We talked about the wellness screenings, what will be taking place April 5th, and I don't have the dates right. There's 4 dates that they'll be on site doing wellness screenings for employees. We also talked about kind of coming up with like a one-page thing of all of the additional benefits for employees, just kind of coming up with more employee retention tools or attraction tools. Mark Bell will be at the April meeting to, as Carrie had mentioned, kind of walk the department heads through a live logging in and using NeoGov, which has all of the safety trainings and risk prevention trainings. We've talked about it a couple times in department head meetings, but I think like most department heads, they get back to their office and get working on something, may not take the time to sit down and set up their accounts. So he's going to do that live with them on the screen and probably tell them to bring their own laptops or whatever and set up their accounts while they're here. So hopefully that'll garner some more engagement with that. Chairman Helms, myself, Ms. Baker, and the Nursing Center Administrator were involved in contract negotiations. We have a tentative agreement that was before the Nursing Center Committee that will be forwarded onto the board Thursday. So
Super.
that is all I have.
All right. Any questions?
What's their take on that 1% sale? They think it's gonna go through or what?
Just passed 6-4 with Mayor Miller breaking the tie.
Oh my. How's it a tie if it's 6
I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Miller, I counted her, so I'm sorry. 5-4. I didn't count her first time. I counted her,
I
yeah.
think it's gonna be a vote.
Mayor, 2 votes. Stacy, Sanders, Simmons, and Monroe voted no.
Oh, okay.
How do you really feel?
We did ask that question today, when we met with the city about when they would start realizing some of that revenue, and they figured about October. There is a 90-day window before it goes into effect. So there'll be a little time.
I went to the town hall meeting. It was well attended, but a lot of people were still up and, had a lot of questions.
It's getting expensive to live nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially for folks that don't have that much money.
And that's when, I was sitting there looking the crowd over, and it was majority of people that was there was people who are retirees,
Yeah.
On fixed income,
Right.
To where it should have been more of the younger generation, like myself.
Why are they laughing?
I
think the mustache given.
Yeah, that's right. I'm trying to look old.
Oh, all right, moving on. 7.3, Madam Finance Director, you have the floor.
Okay, just wanted to provide an audit update. So the final field work began on March 4th. Sickich completed this phase remotely, but they did come on site, as the administrator mentioned, on the 6th. So basically, we supplied support documents for various deposits, which came from the treasurer's office, the credit cards, which came from the treasurer's office, and IMRF, lot of employee background information that they requested. And they did a little bit of testing on accounts payable expenses and then the journal voucher entries that I do. The administrator and I had a talk with one of the auditors about capital assets and the way that we track them now. So we have various Teams worksheets, Excel spreadsheets basically for each department that they're responsible for. A lot of departments did not know that those need to be updated yearly. So it's a work in progress, right? The auditors every year they ask for any deletions, any additions. So we're working on a way to better track that and come up with a system that the department heads, abide by and update yearly. So we will have one more week of field work, and that begins next Monday, the 25th. So we'll probably receive the final list of requests, hopefully Friday morning, fingers crossed. I think I speak for everyone. We're very much looking forward to making the final push and getting them the information that they need. And hopefully it will all go smoothly. And we'll stick to the timeline, and you all should have a draft in front of you next month.
Super. Any budget concerns so far this year? Any red flags, anything sticking out at you anywhere?
Any budget concerns? No. I would say that the glaring concern is always the nursing center and the lack of cash flow, but right now the budget seems to be. I did. It's kind of. Sorry.
Gotcha.
That's all I have unless someone.
Okay. Any
has
questions?
Questions.
Okay. Hearing none. Thank you. Madam Treasurer.
Well, thank you. So before all of you, I've placed a hard copy of the financial report that I mailed the link to, simply because there was a small omission, and I just want to point that out. Two of the investment vehicles that I purchased in February, I showed them coming out, but I didn't, the new page that I've shown you where I tried to list every single one of them, two of them were not there. So this copy now, you can see exactly, trying to be as transparent as we possibly can, so you know exactly where I am investing the money, at what rate, and for how long. So those two, that was the changes. Those two are now included. Otherwise, I'm really, really pleased with, I mean, kind of echoing what the finance director said there. I don't see any concerns. I think we're in great shape, especially during the months when we aren't receiving any property taxes. So I think we're, you know, I hate to say it, but we're doing fairly well, all things considered. So unless you have any questions, again, I always would like you to, no matter what, look at that very last page, because it's a summary. If we had any interfund loans, which we currently do not, you would see their status here. And then the color coding, I think, is really helpful, because you can see how much of the county's money is really obligated or spoken for. There isn't a lot of just extra money. So 70.31% at the end of February is basically hands off, because it's already committed to something else, either by statute or by levy. So I don't think a lot of people get that. I think they see, you know, the big number at the bottom and there's a lot of money, and there really is not. So, and this is very helpful, I think, in that regard. The one thing I have been including, it's in small print, so I will just point it out. Every month I have been including the tiny, tiny print, the balance of the claims that the nursing home has outstanding and to how many vendors. So that hasn't changed a lot over the past couple months. The end of February, there were 52 vendors owed almost $1 million. So, but that's where you will find that every month. I didn't know people realized it because I had to make it fit on the page, so it was small. But you will always be able to find that there every month.
That's gone down a little bit this month, I believe, because the census is up, maybe, or?
Well, that's not an instant, you know,
That's true.
that's
That's
gonna
gonna
take
be
a lot of
delayed
time,
gratification.
right?
That's
I mean,
true.
hopefully we'll see that, but it's kind of that lag time
Right.
that it just isn't, if it could come faster, that'd be great. So, does anybody have any questions about the report overall?
Mr.
Yes, sir.
So on your investment activity, you have 7 CDs that are already matured, still listed on here. They've been reinvested.
They're not, this is February, so they weren't matured at the end of February.
Oh, I know. Now.
So, none of the CDs have matured. The banker's acceptance certificates are what matured. And I did actually reinvest some this morning, almost $2 million of it.
Those
So
aren't
you'll see that
certificates.
on the next report.
They're not certificates.
They're not CD, the banker's acceptance certificates are what matured. And so I reinvested them today, actually, in a federal home loan bank discount note for a little higher rate, for a longer term. So any activity that happens, you'll see it in the month that it happens on here. So there were no changes except for the 2 that I purchased over January compared to this one. You'll see a lot next month because, again, so many have matured and I purchased some more. So this is gonna be the thing that changes the most in my reports going forward. So I hope that you find that helpful. But as of the end of February, we had almost $14 million invested earning interest. So take advantage of that as long as we can. Everybody good on the report? Okay.
Any questions?
All right. No surplus property resolutions before you this month. I don't think we get to say that much, so I want to say that. The other big thing is that tax season is coming. I just confirmed with our printer and mailing company the number of supplies we're looking at. The county assessor just concluded her work, has handed off to the clerk. Once the clerk is able to get past the spring election activities, she'll then extend the taxes to the over 100 taxing bodies. Once they sign off that those are accurate, then the baton passes to me. So we are hoping that tax bills will be out end of May. First due date will be end of June. So, about the same as last year, we hope. So far, so good. So no worries about that. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention, I apologize to a couple of you who heard this on Wednesday, that I wanted to just give you a little update. When I'm not here, I was actually traveling to the NACO Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C., and had the opportunity to kind of lobby for a grant that the Highway Department has written. And I've had the good fortune of meeting with both Representative Sorensen and LaHood. Both were very receptive to trying to do whatever they could to assist. The grant is specifically to begin repair on 25 bridges in the county. One of the congressmen has 15 of them, the other has 10. So they both provided letters of support, which I learned after I talked to Department of Transportation people that if you don't have good letters, you don't even get looked at. So hopefully this go round, Dale's not as optimistic as I am, but I'm gonna believe it's gonna happen. So that was really, and I know some of you participate in UCCI, and UCCI aligns very closely with NACO, the National Association of Counties. If you ever have a chance to do anything with NACO, even if it's online, even if it's local, go do it, participate, because all they exist for is to further the interests of counties. And so one of the things that I did get to share with both of the congressmen was that if we could ask for anything, it would be direct investment in counties rather than going through the state,
Right.
who then decides what we get. And I said that we proved that we can do it with ARPA, because that money was given to us. We're the boots on the ground. We know what our issues are. We can deliver remedies and services quicker, cheaper, better.
Yep.
So they really kind of bought into that too. So hopefully that will.
Kind of makes you wonder why we have a federal government.
Well,
No,
with that,
I'm
I think if we could
sorry.
skip some levels of the state, you know, but, you know, I don't think a lot of people thought of it really that way, but that's the benefit. I mean, NACO got us ARPA directly.
Nice.
So support them, follow them, do whatever you can with them, because they really are a direct connection to lots of sources of revenue and other resources. That's all.
Okay, all right. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Old business, seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Approval of agreements with Republic Services for county offices. Madam Administrator.
So, I know that attachment in the packet was quite lengthy. It has agreements for the state's attorney, for the circuit clerk, for the sheriff's department at the courthouse, probation department, the jail, county clerk and recorder, and administration offices. Carl has reviewed them. He had one question, which was clarified today, because the net 60 terms is basically the only thing that we are looking to add or change about the agreement. Republic confirmed with me today that when that is in the notes section on the front, the body of it where it says the 20 days does not go into effect. The notes override the rest of the agreement. Carl asked me just to clarify that. They are more than happy to honor the 60 days. They just, because the prior agreements were with mooring disposal for shred beast, we have to have new agreements in place with them, so.
These are pretty tiny. Is that just
Most
like a
of,
monthly?
the majority of them, I believe there's only one or two offices that have a monthly pickup. The majority of them is an on-call. We
Okay.
call maybe twice a year. Our bin's getting full, they come take it, dump it.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Have a second? Is that Mr. Bush? Okay. Any other discussion? Yeah, I don't see the issues with this. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of payment to next level for strategic planning. I believe I see a bill for $43.75. Mr. Chairman, would you like to comment on that at all?
We already approved it, basically. We approved the engagement letter. It's just a formality.
So.
So
Mr. Bush moves.
Second.
And a second, Mr. McLean. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of intergovernmental agreement with Row 8.
I will speak to that. Mr. Mercier was not able to attend the meeting tonight. For those of you that may know or may not know, there was an agreement in place that was signed back in 2013. It is almost identical to the agreement before you guys tonight. The amount for the rent is the exact same as it was in the previous 10-year intergovernmental agreement. It's the same amount sought for all three counties, so Carl has reviewed it and is fine with it.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve this.
So move.
So moved by Mr. Frick. Second?
Second.
Maker, any other discussion on this? The amount is $13,424 annually, paid by 3 counties. It's prescribed in Illinois law. Any questions on this? All right, hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to committee chair reports, finance wise, I really don't have anything. I think things seem to be going smoothly, so I think, again, the only thing that's out there still is kind of the nursing center situation. We'll see how that goes the rest of the year. So that's all I got. Administration, anything you want to share?
Sure. Had a couple items that we are bringing to the board on Thursday. One of them is the imaging, record imaging services that Ms. Wingard is working on, and we've ready to move that forward on Thursday. We're gonna put in the packet, this memorandum that she wrote up on what the differences were between the two companies here and what the benefits are and all that. So everybody kind of understands why we're doing what we're doing here. So, I think that'll help. The liability issue, we tabled that one. There were some questions that came up at the last minute. I was able to talk to, Ms. McWright tonight a little bit before this meeting. Hopefully we'll get that ironed out and get that going next month. And lastly, we had a non-sanctuary county resolution that we brought forward. I did pass out a committee with a couple changes, so that'll be going to full board on Thursday. So,
We look forward to that discussion.
yeah, should be lively. So, any questions on anything or?
Okay, hearing none.
Alright.
Nursing center, go on.
Alrighty, coming on Thursday, it will be the fourth quarter 2023 bad debt write-off, and then $13,314. That will be one of the full board, as Georgia mentioned, the collective negotiation, we talked that over. As of today, we have 47 census, never been that high for a long time. And that's really about it. Our stovetop got delivered, I think earlier March. So stuff got in there. I know the kitchen's pretty happy with that. Other than that, that's really about it.
All right, good deal. Any questions? Public property and safety?
Sure, we have, Sheriff Stovall told us that we're only 2 short on deputies and law enforcement. It's the first time it's been like that in 20 years. It's on paper, so we still need some go to school and some to be trained yet. We approved the RFP for the elevator replacement at the courthouse. Vote was 5-0. And so that's gonna go out for RFP. We approved the quote for the roof replacement at the courthouse. We are going with, committee went with Freeport Industrial. The sheriff wanted some particulars on that, the type of roof material, he wanted that the same as to all 3 locations, the jail, the courthouse, and PSB. And he was happy with Freeport Industrial, so we took his recommendation and approved that. The approval of the qualifications for the HVAC at the courthouse. We had one company, and that was Helm, that even gave a quote. So they were the only ones. So Friday, they were going to get with the sheriff and give a quote, I think, as to the cost. And that will be going to the full board Thursday. And we approved the qualifications. And Mr. Townsend from EMA, the UTV that came before the full board, or was it a month or 2 ago, and we had to go up for a RFP. It had the same result was with from Full Throttle Powerhouse for the UTV, and we approved that. And Mr. Townsend needs a new fingerprint machine for IDs for all the county employees. It's on its last leg, and He went out and got a quote from Entrust ID printer. It was under $5,000, and we approved that through committee. And that's about it.
If I could just add on, the ID badge printer,
Badge printer.
That's,
we had it go through the committee for formal approval, just for a little bit more transparency, even though the amount, because that is something that Mr. Townsend is going to help countywide update all of the employee
Nice.
badges and IDs. It's also compatible with their previous machine. It's kind of an updated software package module. So a few EMA directors ago had ordered a whole bunch of bulk ID badges, and those will still work with this printer. So that's a little added incentive as to why to stay with the one that they have. So he will be working with, he and I will be setting up schedules and kind of going for departments to update. Hopefully get that done in the next coming months.
super. All right,
Any questions, Bill?
any questions? All right, court services? Diane?
Well, no, but not really, but yes and yes. It was approval of resolution for the appellate prosecutor. You know, we had voted on that at the last board meeting, but we found out that the date was wrong, so we had to correct that. So that will be coming back. Approval of payment of the IT grant equipment, which she received that, I think it was $173,000, I think it was, for that. We did change our date for our April meeting because 2 of us will be in Springfield. So we changed that, so it would be April 3rd, I think we changed it to. That's it.
Okay. Any questions? All right, Mr. Frick? P&D?
I would have to echo what Stephanie said. I did have the opportunity to participate in a webinar from NACO, and a lot of interesting information. And from my perspective, of course, we talk about the farm bill and the $449 billion that's going to be spent there, and what effects that has on us locally as far as all of our nutrition programs, and the fact that 85% of the budget for the farm bill is nutrition programs, not insurance for farmers or those kind of things. It's all in the nutrition side, but it also delves into the rural health and into connectivity with the electronics and with all of the broadband and fiber optics. All of that is part of that. And one of the things that we did that was noted to us, the House bill, this is Illinois, House Bill 4422 is a piece of legislation right now that would bring siting changes back to the counties for wind energy. So
What a novel idea.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right idea, but that's the plan. And the bill has been presented. I don't know whether it's going to make it out of committee or not, but it's there. So.
All right. Mr. Chairman, anything from Public Works you might want to comment on? If you were.
Larry's part of that committee. The only thing I guess I would say is the meeting has been changed to the Friday following, so I think that's April 12th.
And I forgot to mention that we moved our meeting, or the administration meeting as well, so, because of trying to push them to the weekends here, so.
That'll all be coming to the board too, as
Yeah.
approval to change the calendar, so.
I don't know if you or Mr. Coplain want to discuss what's in the consent agenda coming forward, the agreement on the road
Yeah, there was
with
just,
Willett Hoffman.
it was just a couple items, normal road stuff. I don't know exactly what they were exactly there. I gotta go look in my
Schrader's
folder.
not here, so you pick up the plane.
Look in my folder here.
Next time I won't wear a tie.
I'll still see it.
Yeah, we had a couple. There was a engineering services agreement, joint funding agreement, and then approval to participate in the Illinois rock salt joint purchasing agreement. That was just the 3 items,
sounds like a
basically.
good
So, lock it in at a low price.
Yeah. Well, if you're buying more. Well, you gotta guess.
We did have another thing too, it was reported to us by Judge Hauser that the Office of Statewide Pretrial Service has hired a new pretrial officer. A local girl, 2015 graduate of Freeport High. She will be starting work at the end of the month.
You remind me, I did everything. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say also, as long as Mr. Bush is checking again, the part of the IT grant, some of the equipment will be used in courtroom 5 or the county boardroom. So there will be new larger monitors in there,
Right.
which will be nicer for projecting,
Mhm.
not having to haul in the pull down screen and as well as some sound upgrades, so, which is,
No, I'm,
That's done or?
no,
working
no,
on
no,
it?
no, we've got to
You'll be
approve
working
the
on it.
expenses through the grant, Thursday, but
Yeah.
just so that
sounds like.
this,
Yeah.
some of the equipment that was requested in that grant will be upgrades
Great.
in that area, so.
No, I was just thinking, I'm 56 years old, and for the first time in my life, I got one of these little cards in the mail about being a juror that I had to respond to. I was like, nobody's called me or anything. I believe I did the right
You
thing.
can do it
through the
online.
website,
You can go online. and
Yeah, I
respond.
did.
Scan the QR code,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
You know, my husband
that's
has
pretty
never
cool.
gotten one since he's lived in the county, and I think I've gotten 10.
really, they must like you. Yeah. No, I was just surprised. It was kind of fun.
They
Anyway,
didn't pick me.
let's see, public comments, hearing, seeing.
So move.
Very much. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all very much. We'll see you on Thursday.